Intel stock just shocked Wall Street, and nobody saw this coming. For months, investors were treating Intel like yesterday's story. People were chasing AI winners like nvidia, AMD, and the flashy high-growth names, while Intel was sitting quietly in the corner, struggling with turnaround headlines, factory delays, and doubts about whether the company could ever really compete again. But then, Friday happened. Intel stock exploded more than 25% in a single day. Yes, over 25%. And suddenly, Wall Street is asking one big question: is Intel finally back? Today, we're breaking down exactly why Intel surged so hard, what shocked investors, and most importantly, whether retail investors should pay attention right now, because this move may be much bigger than just one earnings report. Let's get into it. So here's what happened. Intel reported its first quarter earnings, and honestly, expectations were low. Analysts were basically expecting almost nothing. Wall Street was looking for just 1 penny of adjusted earnings per share. That's it, 1 penny. Instead, Intel delivered 29 cents per share. That is not a small beat. That is a massive earnings surprise. And when a company beats expectations by that much, the market pays attention fast. But it didn't stop there. Revenue also came in much stronger than expected. Intel reported $13.6 billion in revenue, while analysts were expecting around $12.36 billion. That's another huge beat. And when both earnings and revenue crush estimates, it sends a powerful message. This business is performing much better than people thought. Now pay attention to this. The real reason the stock exploded wasn't just the Q1 numbers, it was what management said about the future. Because guidance moves stocks, and Intel's Q2 guidance shocked the market. The company told investors they expect second quarter revenue between $13.8 and $14.8 billion. Wall Street was expecting only around $13 billion. That gap is huge. That basically told investors this isn't a one-time lucky quarter. Momentum is continuing, and that is exactly what traders love to hear. This surprised Wall Street because many investors believed Intel was still years away from a real comeback. Instead, management basically said, nope, it's already happening. And there's one major reason behind it: artificial intelligence. Yes, AI again. But here's the twist. Most people think AI only means NVIDIA GPUs. That's where everyone's attention has been. But Intel is proving something important. AI demand also needs powerful server CPUs. And that is where Intel's Xeon chips come in. Its data center and AI business generated $5.1 billion. Analysts expected around $4.4 billion. That is a major surprise. It means hyperscalers, enterprise customers, and data centers are still buying Intel chips in a big way. This changes the narrative, because investors were worried Intel was losing the AI race completely. Instead, Intel just showed it still has a serious seat at the table. Maybe not the flashiest seat, but definitely not irrelevant. And for investors, perception changes everything. If the market starts believing Intel can benefit from AI, not just survive it, that can completely re-rate the stock. But wait, there's another reason investors got excited. The turnaround story is starting to look real. For years, Intel has been trying to fix itself. Cost cuts, factory investments, manufacturing upgrades, leadership changes, promises, lots of promises. And investors were tired of hearing promises. They wanted proof. Now they may be getting it. Intel showed progress on its foundry business and its 18A manufacturing process. This matters a lot, because Intel's future isn't just about selling chips, it's also about becoming a manufacturing powerhouse again. If Intel can successfully execute its advanced chip production roadmap, it could compete not just with AMD, but also with giants like TSMC and Samsung in the manufacturing game. That is a massive long-term opportunity, and investors are finally starting to believe it might actually happen. Here's what could happen next. When a stock jumps 25% in one day, the next question becomes, is it too late to buy? That depends. Sometimes these moves fade fast. Other times, they are the beginning of a much bigger trend. One thing helping Intel right now is analyst upgrades. Several brokerages quickly raise their price targets after earnings. That creates momentum, because institutional investors often follow those upgrades. When big funds start repositioning, retail investors notice, and momentum can feed momentum. But let's stay realistic. Intel still has challenges. Competition is brutal. AMD is strong. NVIDIA dominates AI headlines. Execution risk is still very real, and turnarounds are never smooth. One great quarter does not erase years of problems. That's important to remember. This is not a guaranteed straight lineup, but what changed is confidence. Before earnings, investors were asking, can Intel survive? Now they're asking, how big can this comeback be? That is a very different conversation, and that shift alone can move a stock much higher. For long-term investors, this may be the most important part. Intel is still trading as a turnaround story, not as a premium AI growth stock. That means if execution keeps improving, there could still be significant upside. especially if data center growth continues and the foundry business delivers. But if management stumbles again, the market will punish it fast. That's the risk. And that's why Intel is suddenly one of the most interesting stocks to watch right now. Not because it's perfect, but because expectations were so low and now the story is changing. Sometimes the biggest winners come from companies everyone gave up on, and Wall Street may be starting to realize that Intel could be one of them. So the big question is, was this just an earnings pop, or is this the start of Intel's real comeback story? That's what investors need to decide now. Because if this turnaround is real, Friday may have only been the beginning. But if it's another false start, this rally could cool off fast. Either way, Intel is back on everyone's radar, and that alone is a big deal. So tell me in the comments, are you buying Intel after this massive rally? Or do you think this is just another temporary hype move? Is Intel really back? Or is Wall Street getting too excited too soon? Comment below, I want to hear your take.